Hello, Michelle Walters here with my podcast pal Cinthia Varkevisser for another episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic. We are excited to be continuing talking about the chakras. This is part of our chakra series, and we are talking about chakra one again today with our guest, Robin Patin. Robin is a senior director of wealth management in Chorio's Orinda, California office. Growing up as the daughter of a school teacher and a truck driver, she saw firsthand the impact of financial literacy, an experience that shaped her passion for helping clients navigate with confidence. With a structured and empathetic approach, Robin builds deep relationships with her clients, understanding both their financial and emotional needs to create tailored long-term strategies. Before joining Chorio through its acquisition of Enso Wealth Management, Robin was a principal and wealth manager at Enso and previously spent 6 years as a financial advisor at Edward Jones. A sought-after speaker and writer, Robin regularly shares insights on financial literacy, wealth management, and wealth building strategies. She is deeply committed to helping individuals, especially women of color, take control of their financial futures. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that we have you here today, especially since you say in your bio that you are a daughter of a teacher and a truck driver. I mean, it can't get any more blue collar, salt of the earth type of background when we talk about the first chakra and all the things that we learn as, as children, which sets us
Mhm.
up for the rest of the our lives, basically. Um,
Mhm.
I love that you talked about that you uh, coach with empathy and that you create deep relationships. Can you tell us some of the people that you work with? Because we are talking about people's childhoods, their survivals, and what you've come across, like what are the patterns, and if you have any tips for these people before they come see you.
Sure. So, my background, a lot of people who work in wealth management came from wealth backgrounds. Their families are wealthy, or they were part of that environment for a long time. And there are wealth managers that did not come out of a wealth management background, but it's more the exception than the rule. And so when I came to this field, initially as a financial advisor, a lot of my work was bread and butter financial planning for the average American who, worked hard, saved their money, and just wanted a fair rate of return. And I really enjoyed that work. And I really feel in some ways I've made the biggest impact in my career working with clients who were just wanted a fair rate of return, who were working hard and who wanted to be treated well. And they wanted someone to pick up the phone when they called. And I could give them that experience. And it reminded me of my upbringing. My mom and dad, my mom was a teacher, my dad was a truck driver. We never had fantastic, sums of money, but we wanted to be treated with dignity and respect, and we wanted to grow our money over time. And so that's where I started my career. The work I do now is more wealth management with high net worth, ultra high net worth. And I do love those clients. They're wonderful, wonderful people. It's a lot more with taxes, estate planning, and it's also it sort of removes you from the bread and butter work of financial planning, you know. And what I've realized is that I really do like the bread and butter work of financial planning. I like being sitting across the desk with somebody who is, working an average job and who needs to build out a retirement and needs to have a financial bridge from here to there, and I can help them develop that.
That's so cool. That's very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how did you discover that financial planning was your gift, your what you wanted to do? If you didn't come up with this, how did you discover this?
Well, oddly enough, I thought about becoming a financial advisor directly out of college. And I was a 20-year-old who was graduating with a bachelor's degree. In my opinion, it's not a job you can do directly out of college, even though I've met many wonderful financial advisors and wealth managers who do step into this field after college, but you have to develop a strong empathy for other people. So you have to work your jobs, you have to work your great jobs and your crappy jobs. You have to have your periods of struggle with money. You have to have your periods of prosperity. And so you have to take all of that into the role of a financial advisor, because a lot of our work, it's art and science, right? And if you don't have the empathy to connect with other people through their financial lives, it's really hard. You're missing a big part of the equation. And so I became a financial advisor at 36. And I think for myself, that was the youngest age I could reasonably do the job and do a good job with the part of having empathy and understanding for other people.
Yeah, no, I get it. I went to hypnotherapy school. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I could totally see as I got into doing my kind of work that having had some life experience, it was much easier to be able to come up with the right metaphors, be able to
Mhm.
help people. And there was this one young fellow in my program, and he was like 26 or 28, and he could learn the techniques and do them well, but
Mhm.
didn't have as much content and the
Mhm.
empathy and that kind of aspect to bring to his work. So
Mhm.
you work in Arinda. Do you go to the office, or do you see most of your clients online, or how do you engage with your people?
So I'm in the office right now, and I live in San Francisco, and I will get in my car and drive to Orinda for the opportunity to see a client face to face. I learned to be a financial advisor sitting across a desk from someone, right? And COVID changed all of that. Everything became virtual. And I certainly respect the virtual experience, and I respect my clients who can only meet with me virtually because they're busy or they live in a different part of the country or the world. But there's something very powerful in sitting in an office with someone and doing something across the desk. And so when a client says they want to come in and they want to do this face to face, I'm all about it. I'll get in my car, I'll drive from San Francisco to Orinda for that opportunity to see my client face to face.
I love that. I have a question for you about your clientele or just people seeking financial advisors in general. So I have twin girls, 33 years old, and their idea, I hope they're not listening to this part because I don't want them to think that I'm slighting them, but their idea of financial advising and financial wealth is putting into their 401k, and maybe they haven't told me if they have the uh shoot, what's the one where you want to put in, that's the big deal,
The
and
Roth
the
IRA?
Roth,
Yeah,
right?
the Roth. Okay.
Right. So I don't even know if they have the Roth, even though I've told them that the Roth is great. Um, and I believe that they have, because that we didn't grow up giving them a whole lot of financial literacy. We were barely making it. We weren't scraping by, but we didn't hit like we're so completely broke. You know what I mean? So where
Mhm.
they are is that they have limited education right now, financial literacy. Do you see other people in their 30s and they're trying to figure it out, or have you found that people are, like you were 36 when you became a financial advisor? Do you find that people are coming in early and going, I need to get my shit together, or I want to keep my shit together? Or are you seeing people in their 40s going, oh my God, I didn't realize and I need to really get going?
I think as a nation, we are severely lacking in financial education. We turn over so many big decisions to people just to figure out on their own. And, these are very complicated matters, like retirement planning. You're trying to plan for something 30 years out for 30 years of non-working. Most people do not have the experience to be able to do that. Buying a home, it's very, even I just recently bought, my first home. I didn't even know really what I was signing. I was trusting the people around me to do the right thing and to make sure that I got into this property, and I did. Financial literacy in general in our society is severely lacking, and that is by design. That is not by mistake. I think what has really been a game changer for younger people like your daughters, social media and the internet. If
Right.
anything, social media and the internet really has given people the opportunity to self-educate on finance in a way that didn't exist a generation ago.
That's true.
When I was, 25 or in my early 20s, that was when, what, 2004 or so, YouTube really even hadn't taken off, right? If you wanted to learn about investing, you had to find someone to teach you or read or do, you had to, there were just, it was not readily information available to people. Over the past 20 years, there has been an absolute explosion of information available. And I think it is good. It has enhanced a lot of people's lives, and it's given younger people an opportunity to engage with their finances in a way that we didn't have.
Right. Right. So, two questions after that, because
Mhm.
I love this information. One is, I love that yes, we do have information, so much information through all our social media outlets. But that doesn't change people's their upbringing. So again, we're
Right.
talking about first the root chakra and the
Mhm.
survival skills. Um, One, is there a correlation between age and, because you are going to know their emotional and historical backgrounds, right, as well as their finances. Um, is there a correlation between age and the survival skill where they are?
Oh,
And
of course.
and
Yeah.
and how do you address dealing with these root chakra things? I mean, it's
Yeah.
so sensitive and so deep. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
You're not going to change someone's core programming, right? And it's just working with the person's core programming.
Mm,
And people can change over time and you can facilitate that, but you're not going to make them change. And so I have clients who are silent generation, who are like and these clients are very old. These are people in their 80s, 90s. These people had experience with Great Depression,
mhm.
and it left, they were in Great Depression during their childhoods. And it's left an indelible mark in how they view money. I've dealt with people who, they're from countries like Argentina, who came up during a military junta and lost everything due to this military junta. It has burned into their soul how they view assets, money, and the future, and you're not going to change that. So sometimes it's just about taking the person where they're at and respecting them for the journey they've already had, and working with them where they're at.
Right. Right. I remember my stepfather's father when he passed away, not much in the bank account, but he had silver bars
Yeah.
everywhere. Right. It was
Yeah.
all product of the depression. It was,
Great Depression. Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was incredible. I've not seen anything like it,
Yeah. And
because
there are some people who invest, they call it investing in bricks. They only invest in real estate, or they only invest in physical assets because of the experiences they've had.
and I actually heard that that's happening again right now
Mhm.
because of what's going
Yeah,
on
I can
politically.
understand why. Yeah.
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 Okay. So now the second question, YouTube.
Hmm.
I love YouTube. I love social media. I am one of those damn scrollers. We also know that you are a huge YouTube phenom because you are my rich auntie.
Yes, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. So I do have a YouTube channel. It's Your Rich Auntie. And YouTube has been great in financial education, but there's light and darkness to the YouTube experience, because there's some really fabulous information on YouTube. And before I created my channel, I have been a purveyor of YouTube financial content, even as a financial advisor, for a long time. And, it may revisit concepts that I had forgotten, or even learn something new from YouTube and how a financial advisor is using a certain tool to optimize an experience for a client. That's the light of it. The darkness of it is there's a lot of people giving terrible financial advice on social media. I mean, absolutely objectively terrible advice. And it often comes from a good place. This person thinks they're doing the right thing, but either the person really doesn't understand what they're doing, or they don't understand that what they're doing is not widely applicable because of, A, B, and C reason. Or in worst case scenario, the person's operating an obvious scam.
Mm.
And it would be difficult for the average person with the average amount of knowledge about financial matters to really suss that out pretty quickly.
Yes, you are pointing out the dangers of our world today.
Yeah, yeah. And I take it for granted because I come in at a very high level. This is what I do for a living. So I can, immediately spot what is and what isn't. But when you don't have that level of experience and you're just starting out, it can all look very good and very appealing, And speaking to like the root system, the root chakra, we have a lot of uncertainty in the world. And we have a lot of people selling easy answers. And that appeals to people's safety survival, right? It's something easy. It's something they can understand. It's something that feel good, but it's also a scam, you know? And so I've had clients who have been scammed. I've had client, and it always appealed to the root chakra. They were looking for safety. They were looking for certainty. They were looking for survival. They felt like they were behind and they were trying to make it up and ended up falling into a scam.
Yeah, I wonder what percentage of people have been scammed. It must be a huge percentage.
It's rarely talked about. And a lot of people think that to be scammed, you have to be over the age of 65. No, the majority of scams come in, honestly, a lot of Gen Z millennials are scammed, right? Because they don't have very much, the older people have more experience, right? So they've seen more. A lot of Gen Z, a lot of millennials just don't have the experience. So people, even telling their financial advisor that they've been scammed, I've had some clients who've been scammed, and it's a thing of shame. They feel awful. They feel terrible. They feel stupid. And so a lot of scams are not reported and not spoken about.
Yeah, no, I know you're right. I know you're
Mhm.
right. I mean, whatever number we said where this is the number of people being scammed, it's almost certainly
Oh,
a
yeah.
fraction of them,
Double is probably
right?
double that is because
Yeah.
people don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
Because people don't talk about it and people think that, it's a reflection on themselves
Mm.
as
Mhm.
opposed to recognizing that, how are you supposed to know this?
Right. And many of these scams are extremely sophisticated and specifically are designed to appeal to the root chakra, to make
Right.
people scared, to make people think about survival, to make people operate on instinct and not stop and think about what is being asked for or requested.
Right.
Right.
I also think because we are in gig culture right now, and we
Mhm.
have so many people that are doing gigs and trying to side hustle that they're trying to do whatever they can with their money since they don't have the traditional, hey, here comes your check. You can automatically put some money. I mean, they don't know that they actually can put money into this account, this account, this account, since they don't have 401ks or things like
Mhm.
that. So that they're trying to make their money work for them in the
Mhm.
fastest way possible. It's really
It's
sad.
also a lot of people through retirement accounts have been scammed, because people are very insecure about retirement. And they connect with someone who promises to double their money in 30 days. And, if you don't know kind of the underpinnings of investment and realize that that's impossible in a legal way, that's completely impossible, you might be attracted to that. If you feel light years behind everyone else and you'll never retire and someone's offering to double your money and, you know, um, they're saying all the right things and showing you the right numbers, you might take a chance.
Do you address this on your YouTube channel? I mean, so I'm an intuitive integrity coach,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of people, of course, that take advantage of that profession as well,
Right.
or that craft, however you want to say it. And so for me, it's really hard to bump up my integrity and not say anything about those crappy people, telling shit information that are freaking people out and it
Mhm.
serves nobody. So, do you have ways of busting myths, or is that on your channel, or do you have other ways of saying, "Hey, calm down. I know that you got scammed. One,
Mhm.
let's talk about it, and two, here are the places you can go."
It's really challenging because, like I said, people don't like talking about it. And honestly, some of the biggest scammers out there are corporate entities.
Ugh.
They operate in a very gray area, but they run, in my opinion, scams that clear tens of billions of dollars. And there are certain organizations that when someone tells me they're with that organization, I know what they are doing is essentially a scam or isn't, value for money in the world of financial advising. It's very hard to say something against it, right? Because you also don't want to destroy your reputation as a financial advisor. And technically what they're doing is legal, but is it really ethical? Is it really what's in the best interest of the client? No. So there's a lot of gray area. I would say, in fact, the majority of scams are like these gray area companies that if I said their name, you would recognize them in an instant. But their products, if you know where to look and how to look at their products are absolute trash.
Mm.
Well, I heard a story
Mhm.
about a friend of a friend who got persuaded to put money into some kind of crypto dealy thingy, whatever. And it was, he's going to put in, I don't know, $100,000 and turn it into, another $100,000 in, I don't know, very
Mhm.
short period of time. And, and this man was an investor. Like
Mhm.
he was not, I don't know him. He was a friend of a friend, but he was somebody who kind of knew what he was doing. You would think
Mhm.
would know what he was doing. But there's something very enticing, I guess, about things that people put in front of you, and you not really having your spidey sense, your critical mind, your
Mhm.
have a friend look at it kind of thing.
Mhm.
And people, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like maybe just because we have so many more vehicles for communication and for
Mhm.
money moving and all the rest of it, but
Mhm.
it's
It's
awful that
also
there's so many scams are out there.
right. Scammers pick items that are deliberately vague or obtuse. Like not very many people know the real nitty gritty and detail of cryptocurrency, right? So they use cryptocurrency because it's something very obtuse that people really don't know well. And to be able to know that you're not going to make 100% return overnight. With different investors and different financial advisors, everybody has a different risk profile. And our risk profile is kind of built into the root chakra, right? Um, I grew up with a very a different way of assessing risk than a lot of financial advisors. I tend to be very, very conscious of risk, right? There are financial advisors that treat it like, basically day trading or gambling. They have a very different risk tolerance. And that doesn't mean that they can't be a successful financial advisor, but whenever someone is interviewing a financial advisor or wealth manager, you need to really assess your financial advisor's risk tolerance, right? Because I imbue myself into my work, right?
Right.
And the answer is because I am a very cautious person by nature, the answer I'm giving someone is always going to be cautious and it will always be hedged by, well, this can go right, but this can go wrong, so you can make an informed decision. So even in the field that I'm in the work that I'm doing, the risk profile of the financial advisor really matters. And it will give you a very different experience depending on who that person is and how they assess risk. And it often comes out of childhood.
Yeah. So I have one more question, and this is kind of a what is this? Chakra
Throat
four?
chakra.
A
The
fourth
throat,
Five.
chakra question or five
yeah,
chakra
five.
question. Because we could have also put you under five chakra because of your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and your social media sort of side of things. But what have you found the most fun and rewarding about building your YouTube channel?
Well, I found it remarkable that I'm allowed to have a YouTube channel because there's so much regulation in this industry that the
Yes.
people who really are trained and certified and credentialed often cannot have a social media presence.
Right.
And it's floored me that like Kim Kardashian can get up and shill whatever stock or cryptocurrency and is perfectly legal. But I, as a financial advisor with licenses up the wazoo, cannot recommend anything. And it's like, what is wrong with this world when we have celebrities as our financial advisors, but we have the people with the true background and qualifications to do it are silenced.
Silenced.
Yeah. So, one of the things when I joined my current organization, I made sure that there was a provision that I could do this work. Because I think it's really a shame that all of our work and all of our knowledge is hidden behind a paywall.
Right.
The public really needs to access this information and has no way of accessing this information unless they pay us thousands of dollars. To me, that's just not fair.
Yeah. No, it's one of the less talked about and more embarrassing aspects of my country. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that, knowledge should be freely accessible, should be easy to understand what is true, what is untrue, what is still being researched. Like we should, I want to live in this little bubble of believing all of that is available to us. But we
Right.
need to be in a chapter of our humanity growth where it is very gray and noisy and confusing.
Right. And that definitely needs to change. If someone wants to get educated on finances, there are definitely people on social media who are just lay people who are experts in their own right and, who have built a community and share. But people should have access to expert level knowledge without shelling out tens of thousands of dollars. That's just wild. We're paywalling expertise, and in my opinion, that's not right.
Completely agree.
Yeah,
Mhm.
me too. Well, listen, you have so much information within you, and I'd love to make sure that everyone knows about your YouTube channel and to find out what you got going on. So, you got anything coming up?
Sure. So I'm doing a speaking event on May 28th for Women in Environmental Sciences. I occasionally do speaking events, and I have a website, Robin Patin, my first name, ROBIN, last name, PATIN.com. And I occasionally put up events there. But the best place to find me and to hear me speak is the YouTube channel. And it's your rich auntie.
But
That's
you are my
awesome.
rich auntie, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm so grateful. We are so grateful to have had you. It's time went too quickly and would love to hear more from you. So we'll make sure to put your information in the show notes. And thanks a lot for all our Mind Power Meets Mystic people. Thank you for listening. Please like this show, make comments. We are always looking for what you're interested in because we are infinitely curious and are happy to pursue whatever you request. Thanks again, Robin.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.